On this week's episode of the Get Geek podcast, AJ, Walt, and Eli talk about WandaVision. We are 1 week away from the season finale, and boy, are we excited. And we're also talking about AJ's favorite franchise, the Godzilla vs. King Kong movie, which comes out at the end of March. Listen in as we go and take that deep dive into the monster universe. Next. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Get Geek podcast, as you already know, and this is your host, Walt, and we are joined today by our shortened crew,
AJ,
Eli.
Both Gabe and Jose are off this week, and we apologize for last week. Scheduling issues made it that we were unable to record, and we'll hopefully be back to full strength next week. But we're going to continue today. And today we're going to start out with a brief discussion about WandaVision. I don't want to get into it too much because I'm pretty sure the guys that are missing have a lot of things to say. And I want to keep that for our last episode, which is going to kind of recap the season finale, which is coming up very, very quickly. And boy, has a lot of stuff gone on in WandaVision lately. I mean, we went from full-on WandaVision where it was just like, oh, this is a cute little show with like this parody of old sitcoms. It's changed in the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
By a lot. So this Friday, Disney Plus dropped episode 8 of WandaVision, which is called Previously On. And in that episode, it turns out that Agnes's neighbor is not exactly who everybody thinks she is. It turns out that she's the witch Agatha Harkness, and the implication was that she's behind all of the stuff that's going on in Westview. And as the episode ended, well, she had Wanda trapped in the basement. And so that's where we left off. And there was a book that they showed, which may or may not be the Darkhold, which Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans would know about because that was integral to the story arc with Ghost Rider when he was on that show.
Huh.
But that leads us up into this episode where we get a little bit of Wanda's, we do get Wanda's backstory, right?
Yeah, a lot of it.
And we also get a lot of Agatha's backstory too.
Yeah,
So this was kind of backstory heavy. This episode, we get a little bit of the implication of both. Plus, we get to see in bits and pieces what's happening outside of Westview, particularly with that director.
Yes.
So, what did you guys think of this episode and the previous episodes? I mean, obviously, these episodes, which is really good, have been ramping up in intensity. This last one, it kind of started out a little slow, but then it really kicked on very, very quickly. What do you think?
I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in trouble. That's what I think.
In trouble in terms of in story, or in trouble in terms of their
In
whole
story.
thing? In story.
I kind of get the feeling that I know who the next Thanos is based
Okay.
on what happens in this episode.
So who do you think it is? I mean, this is full spoilers starting now. Okay.
I think it's going to be the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
There you go. I you know what? I totally agree with that because after all, Scarlet Witch is one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe,
Right.
not the MCU, right?
Right. Yes.
So
And I mean, she's always been kind of like a villainess, so to speak, right? I mean, there are times she does, fiddle with the Avengers and stuff like that, but she has been
Mostly.
portrayed as a villainess in the comic books.
yeah.
So
But
that's pretty interesting because, there's been a lot of speculation that it's either Mephisto. I mean, I think for the last 3 or 4
I
weeks,
never took to that. I'm
the
sorry.
internet was
Me either.
raging that it was Mephisto this, Mephisto that.
No.
And listen, it still might as well be that it turns out that he is. There's been talk lately, especially with the Darkhold, um, regarding a character called Kython, who's an elder god who has some history with Agatha and Wanda, but again, we don't know. And for me, and Jose was the one that brought it out. Like the previous episode, Jose, when we were texting after the episode was done, he was like, "Oh, this might be Kython that they're speaking about because he is kind of the author of the Darkhold,
Oh,
and that's a mystical book of incantations and things of that nature." Didn't this episode feel like an episode of Supernatural?
in a very loose sense,
Right, because they were talking about runes and hexes and
Yeah,
spells
I
and things like that. I got
yeah.
that sense, and I know that you were probably thinking about it, but I guess it wasn't as heavy in your mind as I thought it was.
No, maybe when they started talking about the runes, but that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's bona fide Marvel.
Well, yeah.
But isn't it weird that Marvel is talking about magic like this?
Finally,
Right?
I'm. Thank God they're finally doing this.
But they're actually treating magic like magic, because remember,
Thor,
with Thor,
yeah, oh,
magic
God.
is just science that we don't understand, right? But they're actually treating magic like magic now,
Thank you.
which is a departure from, like I said before.
Thank you.
More info on Doctor Strange then.
Well, see, yeah, I know, and that's perfect because this show is supposed to lead up into Doctor Strange's Multitude of Madness movie. Try and say that
Multiverse
3
of
times fast.
madness.
Multitude of Madness.
Multiverse, not
Multiverse
multitude.
of madness.
What?
Multiverse of madness. Multiverse of madness. Multiverse of madness. Multiverse of madness.
Okay, whatever.
Multiverse of Madness.
He is the guy, and this is something else that I put in the chat. Remember Paul Bettany, who plays Vision, has been alluding to this cameo, this super cameo of a character in the Marvel universe. I happen to think it's Doctor Strange. That's my opinion, and I think it works perfectly because it leads into his movie.
I mean,
Thematically, to me, it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
But
it does. But
still, wait. I don't think that would.
see,
First off, I don't see any purpose he would serve, considering on his level he's nothing compared to them, right? And
Well, he is supposed. Well, was he? I don't think he ever became the Sorcerer Supreme yet.
uh,
I think he's on his way, but he's not there yet.
even still,
I
even still.
mean, no, I don't think they've ever technically said it. But I could have sworn maybe they. I don't know. I need to rewatch Infinity War and the
Yeah,
Doctor Strange movie
It's
again.
been a while.
But still, even still, I'm not getting that vibe.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think
So who would you expect to come in here? It's not like they have to be able to steamroll Scarlet Witch.
obviously,
And it's
like,
got to
you
be
could have-
somebody that's big in the Marvel universe already. And it's somebody that Paul Bettany, remember, he said it's somebody that he's really excited to work with, that he's never worked with before. So
Yeah,
that's
so-
why, it has to be an actor of that stature, I don't know of anybody else in that in the universe, that would work better than Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but if he says he's excited to work with, kind of.
Has Vision shared any screen time with Doctor Strange?
No,
Oh.
absolutely not.
There you go. That's my thinking. And like I
don't know,
said,
maybe.
and the question is, where the heck are the Avengers in all of this?
The only real active Avenger is what's his name,
Yeah.
Ant-Man. And then I don't know if you would still count the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but they're obviously doing their own thing.
But weren't they starting up a new Avengers? Remember when they broke up?
I
I
don't recall
no.
that.
No, I don't think so. Because at the end of Endgame, we had that whole scene with Captain America passing on the torch to Falcon and stuff. But after that, all we got was
So everybody's just gone. So
everybody is
where's
just
Hulk?
Hulk's just. I mean, do you even really count? I'm sorry. Do you even really count Hulk
Tony
as an
Stark is
Avenger?
dead, so we get that. Um, Captain America is you know applying Bengay somewhere. You know.
Yeah.
But you still have Winter Soldier. You still have Falcon. You still have
Uh,
Hulk. You still have Ant-Man. You still have
I'll,
Hawkeye. I mean, this is a pretty
yeah,
big event, right?
I'll definitely agree with you there. They should at least be trying to figure out what's going
It's
on.
something that at least should be on their radar. If it's on Sword's radar, then I would imagine it's on the Avengers radar.
Well, wait, Sword and the Avengers, they don't necessarily work together, right?
We don't know that yet, because Sword is kind of like an extension of Shield. Shield is supposed to deal with threats uh, on an earthly matter, and Sword traditionally deals with threats, space threats. So we don't know exactly the relationship that they have, but I would tend to think if Sword is a natural extension of Shield, then maybe, just maybe, there should be some you know interconnectivity there.
Hmm.
Just saying.
I don't know.
But I'm
I don't
excited.
know.
I mean, we see Agatha and her backstory, and it's kind of tragic in a way, but then again, you see how messed up she is,
Yeah.
and that's a departure from
Kind
her
of did it
character.
without remorse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's a departure for her character in the comic books, because she's not really bad in the comic books.
Even as a witch?
Yeah, she's actually the nanny to Reed Richards' son.
Oh, I remember saying that, but I thought she wasn't like a witch at
and
that time.
and she also trains Wanda in her in how to rein in her power and stuff. So she's not traditionally a bad guy in the comics, but here she seems a little bit more nefarious than she does in the printed form.
It's
I
weird.
see.
It's like the roles have been switched, right?
Mhm.
Wanda is like good and
The
she's bad.
turntables have
Been turned.
Well, I've always said that I would find it interesting that Scarlet Witch ends up being the bad guy. I always thought that was far more interesting than Mephisto being behind it, and Kython and some of these other characters that have been put out there and stuff. I always liked the fact that, how do you deal with a character that was an Avenger and falls to the dark side? That to me always seemed interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you notice when so there's a scene in the show where she gets her powers and she gets the gem from Loki's scepter and opens it up, and there's the Mind Stone. Did you see the vision when it exploded, or that whatever it did, that her shadow had the
That-
little horns from Scarlet Witch?
That
Yeah.
is the Scarlet Witch.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find it also interesting that Agatha Harkness, the way that she described Scarlet Witch, it wasn't like it's a person. It felt more like a title, right?
Yeah.
Like
That
it's not like,
was-
oh, you're the Scarlet Witch. No, it's, oh, you're the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
It felt like almost like, oh, you're now the Dark Lord of the Sith.
He's
had
the
like a
Super Saiyan
title
of
to it.
legend.
Yeah,
He's-
exactly, right?
He's the chosen one.
It didn't seem like it was just the name. It seemed like it was more. It was something more, which I found really.
It was
really
like being
interesting
called
also.
the Antichrist,
Yeah,
basically.
I'm curious to see. Did they really never did explain what the Scarlet Witch is? They just kind of dropped it in there and said, "Oh, you're the Scarlet Witch," and just left it at that.
Yeah.
So, I gather we're gonna get some answers
The finale.
with the finale coming up this Friday. I'm excited. I mean, this is the top streaming show of 2021.
Whenever I watch The Daily Show, there's always at least one reference to this show.
I think it's justly deserved, right?
Yeah.
Because it did start out, and I think a lot of people were a little bit turned off. I heard people were turned off because the first couple of episodes were black and white.
Really?
Can you? I mean,
That is
is
so
that's a
dumb.
thing? Believe it or not,
So dumb.
it is the craziest thing, but it's really a thing.
Wow.
They were turned
No.
off because it was black and white. I mean, is that peak entitlement, I guess, or whatever? I don't know. It just seemed really weird that you would discount a show because it's black and white. You know. But the good thing about the show is that it has been building and it's been giving us more and more of what's going on and stuff. We didn't get much with Photon or Spectrum, whatever she's going to be calling herself, Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm assuming that's coming.
Wait. How? Wait. I just want to make sure real quick. Do we know how the multiverse has been opened?
No, not yet. I'm pretty sure the events of what happened now is probably directly tied into that.
Oh, shoot. That
But
means next
remember,
episode.
Pietro
Fietro.
is Fietro. It's not, and it's interesting because Agatha says it almost like she implied that this was something that she made up. It's not really Pietro. It's more like an incantation or something, because she mentioned that he was her eyes and ears during the show. So it's clear that Pietro is not a real Pietro. It's a fake Pietro, a Fietro, as she said, you know. And we have the notion that Vision,
Wow, that was a twist. I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna lie.
you know, Vision wasn't actually. She didn't actually take Vision out of the complex, as director Hayward showed in previous episodes.
She just freaking manufactured one out of
Yeah,
thin air.
She just and we see how the hex was created. It was just her out of just the anger and the anguish of losing Vision, and realizing that she'll never see him again, where she just was able to tap into this raw power, this magic power that even Agatha can't figure out, because the entire episode is her trying to figure out, how did you get this power? How did you master this power?
She hasn't even studied like any
Right.
sorcery books.
Yeah,
It's
she's like a
just-
total noob when it comes to this.
She's a magic Broly.
She's a new
Basically.
looking pro.
But she manifests this entire thing out of her whole mental thing. And so that's the aspect where Agatha wasn't involved. She's been kind of manipulating her behind the scenes, but this is all Wanda. This is Wanda. The Hex is Wanda's creation. Vision is Wanda's creation. What do you think about the kids? Do you think the kids are real, or do you think they're just figments of Wanda's imagination also?
They're
No.
figments.
I think they're every bit as real as everything else here.
Well,
If she can manufacture a Vision, how hard can it be to manufacture two kids?
Well, remember, that's a vision that exists within the Hex world.
Yeah. That's
Once he steps out, as we saw in what, 2 episodes ago, I think it was, he starts to break down.
he's still a figment.
So, is he really real,
No.
or is he not? That's the interesting
Okay,
question.
Vision, I'll give you that, but she gave birth to those kids.
but that could have been.
That is true. That is true in a sense.
I mean, but that could have also been a figment of imagination.
Yeah,
It's like a dream.
It could be a fever dream that she's having. That
Yeah.
she, I guess we're not gonna know until the last episode. But I did find interesting that Agatha was using the 2 kids as kind of like hostage at the very end, where she was.
Yeah,
was
I mean,
kinda
like,
choking them with
if
the
they were
knife.
figments, why are you gonna hold figments as hostages?
But she still obviously cares about them. Like,
Oh
Vision.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so just because they're figments doesn't mean that she's not going to care about them. Because even while they're figments, they seem real to her. And that's all that matters to her.
Is there anything else that popped out of that episode for you guys? Anything super interesting?
There is one thing super interesting, but I think it's best left for when we have the guys back on.
Okay, but we do have to talk about that end credit scene.
Yes,
Do
the
you
end
remember
credits scene that I seem to have forgot.
You don't remember it?
No,
You seriously?
seriously.
I now looking back at that looked cringe.
That's
So
an actual
cringe.
character. White
Oh
Vision.
no, Spectral Vision. There you go.
White Vision.
I think that's called Spectral Vision.
Which one?
The White Vision.
No, his character in the comic books is white. Oh well, no, I'm not sure, but there is a White Vision in the comic books.
Yeah,
Is Spectral Vision.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Spectral Vision is interesting because he is not the old Vision. He is a rebuilt of the old Vision using the old Vision's technology.
Yeah.
And so in the comic books, he's a Vision that's devoid of any type of emotion. He is, when you're talking about Android, that's this guy. So it's going to be interesting, the impact. And this is the thing that I find really, really interesting, because if they do send in White Vision as a weapon of mass destruction against Wanda, and Director Hayward is the one that's pulling the strings, how do you think it's going to impact Wanda if she has to fight White Vision and she has to kill Vision all over again, regardless of whether he's white or not?
What if she just fuses them together? Like, oh, thank you. This can go out into the real world. Plop.
That is not a bad idea. That is not a bad theory, you know?
No.
Because
That's
there's
cringe.
it's one of, in my mind, there's one of two ways that this can happen. Either she has to now fight White Vision, and knowing what happened in Infinity War and the trauma that she had of not only killing Vision the first time, but watching time being rewound, and then Thanos killing him a second time, and she couldn't do anything about it. If she has to kill another form of Vision, that could really tip her over the edge,
That's multiverse.
right? And
Sorry.
and really break everything that we know in terms of the MCU, right? That's one way of thinking about it. The other way is yours, and yours actually makes a ton of sense also, because what happens if she now sees this Vision and it's like, well, now we have a Vision that's corporeal, right? Actual flesh and blood and circuits and gears and stuff like that, right?
Vibranium mesh.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly. And instead of fighting him, I take control of him, and I now take Vision's consciousness, which I have just made in the hex, and imbue him into White Vision and bring him back to life. That would be super interesting also. And that's a way for Paul Bettany to still have a job.
I mean, even if that Vision is gone, he still has a job with Spectral Vision.
That's true too. That's true too.
He just won't be as quote unquote interesting, or maybe they'll build that out in some really weird, possibly cool way.
I don't know.
So do you have any idea what's going to happen in episode 9? Do we have like any clue? I mean, the
I
way
know
they left it was pretty open-ended, right?
either Harkness is going to have a real hindsight problem and try to use Wanda, which will not end well for anyone, or she'll just straight up try to kill her, because like she's like, how you the way she was addressing Wanda is like, maybe it'd be easier if you were dead. Because
Yeah,
you
it
could be
was-
like a real problem.
because even though she seems like she's kind of like a very selfish and a very bad person, killing her mom, even though she was using the reason they were trying to kill her is because she was using forbidden magic that was above her station, but she really didn't truly do anything bad. You can make the case that she was kind of defending herself up until she killed her mom.
Yeah.
Then at that
Sort
point
of.
it became something else, right? But what if Agatha now looks at Wanda and says, you know what, I've been trying to piece this puzzle together, and you have all this power unchecked, you're not trained, and then the revelation that you may be the Scarlet Witch. What if, like you said, this is not good for the universe? I need to kill you. It's a different story to tell, because it's like you're a bad guy, but you realize how bad this person could be.
So the bad guy is actually the good guy, and the good guy is actually the bad
This
guy.
is very, very weird. But that's why I love this show, because it subverts everything that you know and you think you know. And so, me personally, I don't have a clue about what's going to happen in episode 9.
Not to ruin it, but I don't think that I don't see that Agatha would be that type of character, right? Because
I don't agree, but go on.
because
Well, why do you think not?
I think being the fact that she's a teacher, either she would try and teach her to control her power or try and take that power for herself, because you know that she's obviously greedy for the power. She
She siphoned off all the power from the witches
yeah,
back in
she
Salem, right?
and she took the weird book, right? That was like way above her pay grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I see would happen. But here's what I think is gonna happen. And this is like a mini theory that only just popped into my head now, so it's not perfect. But what if Agatha kills Spectral Vision because she wants her alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that sets up everything, because first off, you have her kids being threatened. She's considered the Scarlet Witch, which she has no idea what that means, good or bad.
Wanda.
Yeah, Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
And White Vision was killed. And I think something's going to happen to regular Vision. So, 4 things that can set off.
And this is why I
time-ticking
think
bomb.
Doctor Strange is going to be the guy that shows up, because remember, everything that they do, they are the protectors of the realm when it comes to mystical energies and mystical threats from beyond.
And that's what I
This
was
is
saying
this is
before.
about
I
mystical
was
threat
saying that
number 1,
before.
101. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I keep thinking that it's really Doctor Strange that's going to show up in the last episode, because this is a threat. What's
This is more or less what Dormammu was doing in the Doctor Strange movie.
Exactly. This is midnight level extinction. What was that thing from The Office?
Midnight level threat.
Midnight level threat. This is
Threat level midnight.
Threat
That's what it
level
was.
Whatever, that thing.
It doesn't matter.
midnight. You know. No, but seriously, this is really, really big stuff, and it's mystical, and so that's why I happen to think that it's Doctor Strange that's going to show up. But you know what? We're not going to find out until this Friday. So, like I said, I'm excited. So, let's see what happens. All right. Let's talk about the other thing, which also comes out in March, which is something that the gang has been crazy about. You and Wolfie have had an active Instagram blow by blow throwdown, right? Because
Seriously?
you are on the Big G's camp,
Yep.
and Wolfie is on King Kong's camp.
Monkey forever.
And so, of course, the movie that we're talking about is coming out March, I think, 28th, is it? Sometime at the very end of March. Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
And so we've seen the trailer. The trailer was phenomenal, fantastic, freaking crazy as all heck. And so much so that they did a study on whether Godzilla and King Kong could actually stay on that aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
The long and short of it is that no, they can't. You know, somebody would fall because that aircraft carrier can't support their weight. But there's like so many theories out there, and this week we got even more footage that I think you were trying to avoid, but you couldn't.
So I ended up seeing some of it, not all of it.
How excited are you? I'm the rest of this podcast, I'm gonna be looking directly at you. Sorry, Eli, but this is me just shining a light on AJ, because this is all him. AJ, what do you think? What's going on here?
I think that I am still very much excited for this movie. One of the things that I saw from the new footage was it looked like Kong appeared to be on Skull Island, but there was a catch-22 because what he ended up doing was he ended up taking a branch, like not a branch, an entire tree, like in the first
It
movie.
looks like a branch in his hands.
Yeah. So he like takes all the leaves off and whatnot, the branches. He hucks it like a spear into the air, but instead of going off into the infinite, you know, the infinite skyline, it actually makes an impact with something in the sky, like it's a barrier, a force field.
Really, I missed that one. I got to be honest. I haven't seen any of the new footage, so this is all news to me. So there's a barrier around Skull Island.
That's what it looks like.
That's crazy.
So that alone, it looks like they've got a lock and key on Monster Island.
I think
What were you thinking, Eli?
I just saw some of the footage now, and
That cat was not part of the footage.
I know, but
He showed a footage where there was a black cat that
no,
popped up
no,
on
no,
screen.
no,
What was
because I'm
that?
watching a YouTube video.
That's
about
not
it.
real footage. Then that's just a meme video.
No. It was there. There was trailer stuff.
All right, but go on.
Right. And let me just show you real quick. Right. Kong is falling out of the sky.
I'm sorry, what?
Kong is falling out of the sky.
See, this is why I don't watch the trailer and want to wait for the movie, because that to me says Mecha Godzilla.
That's what it looks like. So I mean,
Or Mecha King Ghidorah.
and look at this in the background, right?
What?
So it really looks like a really scorched. I don't know what would that be. It looks like a scorched, like
It
sort of.
looks like a
Kong Island.
volcano.
Yeah, and there are like a bunch of volcanoes and stuff. So this really gets me wondering. I think this is Kong Island, but
Skull
Island, but
So
still.
is there any mention of the other kaiju in this movie, like Rodan and?
No, well, we already know about not the Shinomura, but the
Behemoth?
Nozuki, Titanus Nozuki.
Who's that?
It's like this weird snake thing that actually flies.
Oh, well,
Think of Manda, but with wings on its head.
Wow, Manda's a kaiju I haven't thought about in a long time.
Yeah, one of those serpent Shenron type kaiju.
I still remember him from Final Wars.
Yeah. Oh, what? But how? That's the trailer.
yeah, there's like a new footage.
Yeah, new
Kong's
TV
journey.
spots.
Wait,
But
what's Kong's
so
journey?
they
That's
were.
TV spots. So they're dropping TV spots.
They were.
Look at this.
So how
I
do
don't
you
know what to think of any
How
of
do you
this now.
go from?
Who is that, Kong?
Yes, that's Kong.
How do you?
That's very much like
But-
the old movie, though. Remember?
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I
There
know.
was a portion where they put him to
Right.
sleep because he got drunk. Remember in the whole movie?
No, they even had that in King Kong Lives too. I
He's
think.
awake.
Okay. In the old movie, he fought the octopus,
Yeah.
and then he got drunk from drinking those
Oh
things,
yeah.
and that's how they captured him, and they airlifted him into Japan, right?
Yeah.
So that looks like a callback to that movie.
I don't know what to think of this anymore.
That certainly throws a wrench. Now I have my timeline all screwed up. Not that I
Yeah.
even had a timeline to begin with.
It's getting complicated.
But I think that's cool because you know what? The thing about it is that they're throwing images at you without context, which is good. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
They're not telling the story in the trailers. They're kind of just throwing them at you and saying, "Here's this, here's that. This is what's gonna happen." But we're not telling you what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you caught some of the comments from the director Adam Wingard.
No, that's also something that sounds like I'm trying to stay away from.
Should I even mention it because it directly talks to what you and Wolfie have been talking about on the Instagram comments?
No. Sorry.
Shall I or
No.
shall I not?
No, just don't. Just don't.
Because it's
Oh wait, if you're talking about a decisive winner, I know
Yes.
about that.
yes, that's exactly the comment that I'm talking about. You know, and
Gosh.
you heard Wolfie's
He
comment
says
where
it's
he's like,
Kong, but where in that sentence does it say is going to be Kong?
No, he says King Kong, the director.
Oh.
He says that. Now, to me, that's just I happen to think that might be a Freudian slip because we're so used to, at least the old guys that watched it from before, we're used to him as being King Kong, right?
Yeah, true.
It's not we're not used to calling him just Kong. So maybe that's just a slip of the tongue, or maybe there's a new king of the monsters. But the interesting thing that you take away from that is basically what he said. This is not going to be one of these things where it's like the old movie where it could be a tie, it couldn't be a tie. He said there's a definitive winner.
I know who it is
That
now.
Wow.
is now, is he kind of like um trolling people, and maybe Kong is really fighting Mecha Godzilla
Yeah,
and
because
there's a definitive winner there?
I think Kong
Is it
lost.
that King Kong is actually fighting Godzilla and there's a definitive? I can't imagine a situation where one of the two dies
yeah.
unless there's a Minya running around somewhere that we don't know about.
I mean, it wouldn't be the
Yeah.
first time that there's a baby Godzilla
I keep hearing
around
this
there.
theory that this Godzilla is Godzilla Junior.
Um, uh,
Wow.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa!
Top
Back
10.
back the hiffle up. What?
Top 10 Godzilla
That's
versus
a
Kong fan
big baby
theories.
Godzilla then.
Godzilla Junior.
So you're
Because-
saying that huge,
Yeah.
one of the biggest Godzillas recorded,
He's like-
barring Godzilla Earth?
He's like top 2, right? Top 2 or 3.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me that's got no? That just sounds stupid.
Look at it here. That's what it says here.
Yeah, that's no.
It's a
That
theory.
no. That is complete BS. That's clickbait.
Godzilla Earth being the biggest of the Godzillas. He's the one from the Godzilla Netflix anime series,
Yes.
right? And he's like 2 times taller than the
So what?
legendary
That's
Godzilla.
them squaring off Alien versus Predator style. That means nothing.
No, I'll get into that. You know what? Whatever. Fine. I'm
Godzilla Jr.
I'm the one who's new to this footage and stuff.
I mean, not even that. His spines are that of an adult Godzilla. Like, it's not even like he has like the adolescent spines. He has fully grown spines. There is
Missing
an
one, though.
anatomy to Godzilla, my friend.
But he is missing one.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, this footage is
Taken by a
insane.
certain furry guy.
Yeah.
I just saw
Okay.
King Kong hurling a tree at.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
you were
He was
saying
hurling
that.
it into the sky and then it hit something like a force field.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, but the way I saw that scene, the one that I was talking about, a square off, I think King Kong was pinned down by somehow.
Yeah, by Godzilla because he's right on top of him.
Yeah, but
And he gets some pretty
and
good
then
blows in
you,
too.
You pair that up because this looks like it's a cityscape, and I know this is a very far out theory, but you pair that out with another theory that he's going like, where like, it's like it looks like he's. It's
What?
Dying.
no, like his eyes turn blue and his mouth turns blue and his spine turns blue, which obviously means a laser, right? And it looks like it's the same scene, but just like right after, and he's just roaring in the sky. I mean, he has a laser, so what?
So
I'm
what
confused.
is the implication
The
here?
implication that I'm trying to say for this theory is that he might not die, but he's definitely gonna get hurt by like this laser to the face.
Let me ask you
I don't
guys
know.
this question.
I don't know.
Because in the old Godzilla King Kong movie, Godzilla quite obviously has that radiation breath, but Kong unveiled, unbeknownst to any of us, a power of his own, the power of electricity. Do you think you're going to see something like that in this movie?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Honestly, it would level the playing field some. Um I mean, to be fair, this is also an ability Godzilla has exhibited in a movie you haven't seen yet, and he even takes it a step further in that movie. But that's again because it's tethered to the specific villain he's fighting. Interestingly enough, I know we covered this on our other podcast, but there we already know that there's going to be mecha. Well, there are implications
Rumors.
that there's going to be Mechagodzilla in this movie. So I was thinking of a hybrid of information. So in the original Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla movie, there is something known as fake Godzilla, which is basically Mechagodzilla wearing a Godzilla suit, aka he has the skin, he has the eyes, he's got everything.
He's like a Terminator.
Yeah, he looks tit for tat like Godzilla.
Goofy Godzilla, no less.
Yes.
Godzilla.
That could be what's going on here in terms of, wait, why did Godzilla become bad all of a sudden?
That's one thing that's been bothering me because, the Legends verse has up until this point kind of framed Godzilla as a good guy.
Yes,
You
a
know?
hero.
Yeah, in the first one,
basically.
he was fighting against the Mutos,
Mutos. Yeah.
Mutos, right? And they were basically these world-ending type monsters that would kind of destroyed everything if they were left unchecked, right?
Yeah.
So he came to save them. And then in King of Monsters, the same thing. The big bad was King Ghidorah, and again, an extinction level event. You know, King Ghidorah was a force of nature that needed to be dealt with, and Godzilla was Earth's defender. And even Dr. Serizawa was pointing to the fact that Godzilla is here to save us, right? So it's a little weird seeing in this movie how he's done like a total 180.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're led to believe that he's supposed to be this big bad and King Kong is the. Now, it's happened before, I guess, in the Toho universe where he's flip flop from being,
Yeah.
you know, uh, Earth's defender to Earth's nightmare. But it just seems very strange that it just happened that quickly in this. Well, I mean, what do you think, AJ?
Well, again, that's certainly been a trend in, if not the Heisei series, definitely in the Millennium series. But although in the Millennium series, he was, for the most part, all bad. Like, he just wouldn't have it at all. But it was more prevalent in the Heisei series, which is like the 90s. But to continue on the track I was thinking of with the fake Godzilla. So that would, for one, explain why he might appear bad, quote unquote. The other thing that I was thinking of in the comics arena, I believe Godzilla Aftermath, they reference an ancestor or a relative of Godzilla who's called Dagon. Now, what's interesting is that they find Dagon, this relative of Godzilla's, bones in the first movie from 2014. So this leads me to believe another thing as well. It'd be pretty cool if they did this, though they don't necessarily have to do this. In the Millennium series, Mechagodzilla gets a revamp, but he's different. And he's different because in this iteration, he has integrated into his structure the bones of the original Godzilla.
Mm.
So my thought process here was, well, what if they do the same thing with Titana's Dagon here? And then the added layer of fake Godzilla is you basically have two generations of Mechagodzilla in one.
That is true.
But it's not likely they're going to do a deep dive like that. It'll probably just be like, well, we've been working on a weapon that can actually take out Godzilla. If King Kong can't do it, this will.
So there are other two iterations in the Toho universe of kaiju being mechanized.
Yes.
You have the quite obvious one of Mecha King Ghidorah, which was kind of alluded to in King of Monsters, right?
In a sense.
In a sense, because Charles Dance's character, I can't remember what his name was, at the very end of the movie, it was revealed that he found pieces of Ghidorah
Well, he found the head.
Right, and we don't know exactly what he's going to do with it. But the implication for us Toho fans was that, hey, this could be the start of Mecha King Ghidorah, right?
Especially when you factor into his new Hydra healing capabilities. So all you'd really need to do is kind of unlock that and be like, oh, well, okay, maybe we weren't able to get all of Mecha King Ghidorah, but let's just fill in the rest with metal. And that's basically what Mecha King Ghidorah is.
Yeah. The other character that I'm referencing to, and I'm going to try to say his name right because for whatever reason I always get it wrong. Mechanicon?
Mechanicon?
Oh,
Mechanicon?
gosh.
You think they're gonna do that?
I'm just saying. I mean, you know, there's
That-
all these
you know
mechs
what?
all over the place. I'm looking for any and all sources. So, like I said, there's 3 that I know of that the kaiju became mechanical versions, or they converted and created mechanical versions of them, and that would be Kong, that would be Ghidorah, and that would be Godzilla. Now, I'm not saying that that's happening. I'm far from it, but I'm just saying
That'd be one hell of a deep dive if it was
that's what I'm saying.
Mechanicon.
That would be crazy, right? I'm just saying that we always have to leave open the idea that he's going to really go and try and deceive the audience, because that's what directors do. They say one thing, and then they try and get you thinking that way, and then all of a sudden they totally reverse stream, and it's like, no, it's this. So I'm not going to say the conspiracy theorist in me, because I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but the crazy part of me is saying, what happens if, just out of curiosity, they decide to go the Mechanicon route, right? That would be
Hold on.
completely
Hold
crazy,
on.
though, right?
Hold on.
Like super bonkers,
Hold
no?
on. Hold on. Right? I just checked some new footage, and I'm putting aside that authors can't, directors can deceive and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being completely honest, I'm 70% sure they're doing Mechanicon.
Okay, why do you say
No,
that?
just as a theory.
This is all theory, people.
I mean, not
We're
70%.
just we're just guessing at his,
That
because
is-
obviously
that
we
is
have no
pretty
idea.
confident.
Okay, you know what? No.
But this
30,
is crazy
30
theory. Let's go with crazy theory.
Okay.
Go.
Honestly, 30%.
Okay, 30% is
But
good for me. Go.
Originally, it was 10%.
What makes you think that we're definitely going to see 30% of Mechanicon?
Putting aside that
Putting aside.
directors can deceive.
Yes.
This is one of my ultimate theories, right? I just watched like 3 pieces. I mean, like 3-foot pieces of
Scenes?
TV spots.
TV spot teasers, right? And there's like so many footage, right? But like in each footage, it's always Kong getting his butt whooped. And I know I'm for Kong's side, right? Because remember when I said that Godzilla was like about to do like the laser thing in the sky? He had his head facing up.
Oh, you mean his victory lap?
Yeah, that whole thing where he does.
But
where he
sometimes
shoots
that's
these, like,
not-
straight up.
No,
right?
no, he didn't. He was about to charge it up, right? And you remember how he was looking down at Kong?
But technically, that's not always his victory lap.
No. I'm not talking about victory lap, right? In this scene, it shows him shooting it down, and I know it's a really far stretch, but I mean, what else could he be shooting at, right?
He
Look
might
at
be
this.
shooting at Kong, blasting him in the face
Yeah,
when
right?
he's down. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Check this out. I'll show it to
Okay,
you,
so
right?
punch Kong, and he's shooting at something down there.
Right? And then and considering that we saw Kong in a net, I'm not thinking that's before. I'm thinking that's after. And
So you think
consider
that's his dead body?
no, he's not dead. That's for sure because you obviously saw his eyes.
They're going to
right?
rebuild him. They'll make him better.
But here's the thing about that.
Oh,
He was
no.
put into the net, right?
Uh-huh.
And he was being dragged by the U.S. soldiers, right? So that makes you think that he was obviously unconscious enough so that they could have dragged him somewhere.
Right. They typically
right?
do that in most of the Kong movies. They did it with Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
They did it with the remake and stuff, right?
And
they've done it in.
It's in
the
all
form
the
of
movies
yeah.
in various forms.
Now,
You're
keep in
thinking
mind-
that he's going to flip the script.
wait. keep in mind that I'm not exactly for this, and I really hope that I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure that I'm kind of wrong, right? Keeping in mind that directors can deceive with trailers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They drop him onto Skull Island, so that makes you wonder what's gonna happen at Skull Island, because they couldn't have just shown that the fact that
Whoa.
he's being dropped, his unconscious body is just being dropped from the sky. And the only thing that can possibly fly is either another kaiju or those helicopters that were dragging him with a net. And considering those are like three other like little circly things falling from the sky with him,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure what is going on, but I sort of believe as a theory that Kong has been knocked unconscious and is ready for a second round.
I'm so lost here.
You have to see a lot of the footage.
I think what he's trying to say is that there's going to be multiple fights, and Kong at some point is going to get knocked
that's
out, right?
kind
But
of
I also
inevitable.
Now, the one thing I will say though, if that footage where they were dropping him, that's kind of high for helicopters to get up to.
yeah, that's the only thing
So
that
that's
I was.
the only thing I would say is that I don't think those are the helicopters, because that generally when you're in that altitude, those are only airplanes that get up there.
Yeah, because
Or-
that's above the clouds, right?
Or he was taken up there by something.
By something, and so that's why I'm saying my theory
It's
is
not
like,
Godzilla though, because well, unless we think about the Godzilla that flies from the old
yes,
movies.
that's my other theory. That's my other theory, because he was shooting a laser
What was
at the
that?
ground.
Godzilla versus Hedorah, right? That's
Yep.
the one where he flew?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, unless Godzilla starts flying
Yeah.
like that, which I really, really
I
hope they
know.
don't do.
No.
There
If
has to be
anyone was
another
going to do
reason.
it would have been the previous director. But I think even he knows that's going to be a little way too far out there.
Yeah, that's he's been grounding these movies so far in legendary in general. They've been grounding these movies in reality, because even when they were thinking about these new kaiju, they were looking at the actual animal kingdom to come up with ways of making these monsters. So everything that they've done has done with sort of a science tint to it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to start making Godzilla fly, and I hope that they don't make him
No,
fly the way that
no.
he flew in Hedorah, Godzilla versus Hedorah. Because even as much as I enjoy that movie, there is still that piece of me that says this should not be possible. Okay? So that being said, something had to have gotten Kong up there. We just got to figure out what it is.
But that really makes me wonder, because the idea of Mechanic Kong is so bad, but it's not likely. And
It's
I know
probably
I
not gonna
said
happen.
30%, and
It's probably not gonna
it's 20% for me, if I'm being completely honest. But chances are,
Yeah. I mean, that is really, really a deep dive. I mean, Mechanic Kong got only one movie, right?
One.
And if that, right?
One.
That was it.
One.
I actually like Mechanic Kong.
And he's cool in concept. It's just he's never gotten a revamp.
Because I don't think they ever wanted to go back to that again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that was the case, that is an extreme deep dive,
Yeah.
and a stretch.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm just putting it out there because, like I said, there's only 3 kaiju that I know of in the Toho verse that got the Mechani treatment, right? I mean, there's nobody else, right? I mean, we can't.
You
The other
can't count
ones-
Gigan because he's already a cyborg,
and he's an alien.
yeah.
So, and you can't, and the other ones were either, the only other one was that robot, but that was
Mogera is all,
yeah, he's all machine.
and
he's
so is
not,
Jet Jaguar.
and he's not previous to any other things.
Yo.
And Jet Jaguar is an android / robot type thing.
Think of it as like an android Power Ranger.
yo,
That would be interesting, though.
I got
Imagine if Jet Jaguar shows up.
No,
That
stop.
would be awesome.
yes.
Okay, what were you saying?
I got a crazy theory again, and
Oh,
this one I'm kind
God.
of sure about, right?
Pacific Rim.
what if how they're fighting in like the weird boats and stuff?
Hmm.
What if like they're dragging him in a net, right?
And then Godzilla jumps and he flies up into the air. He just catapults him into the sky.
Wait, what?
No.
He's on the aircraft carrier, and Godzilla jumps and he just makes King Kong fly into the sky.
Oh,
Okay. But
That would be awesome.
yeah, but
bro.
what I'm really thinking, right? In all serious,
All right,
I
serious.
think that Kong is bait. Kong is bait, and the government is using him as a bait. I don't know why, but they're definitely using him for something, because if you're being dragged unconscious, it's either because you're sending him back to where he came from, or you're putting him in a new place, right?
Most
So-
likely, they're putting him in a new place. They're probably taking him
So-
out of Skull Island and bringing
But
him
why,
I
if
think.
Skull
Here's what I
Island
think.
is already secured?
Here's what I think. No, I
because
think
Godzilla has become
Hold
a
on.
threat.
hold on, right? I think that they're dragging him on the boat, right? To the ships,
Oh, I
to the naval
think-
ships, and then they're dropping him back on Skull Island.
Yes, I think
You
I
see-
see what you're getting
Yeah.
at. They bring Kong out because they know he has beef with Godzilla, but then they beam Kong back to Skull Island, and when Godzilla goes there, they shut the shield gate. Because remember, Godzilla's been in the ocean all this time. They've only been able to track him, never contain him.
He's bait.
What if this is their plan to actually contain him?
That'd be interesting.
Okay, I can actually
we
see
know
that.
too much.
So we there's a bunch of things we need to find out when this movie comes out. We got to find out why Godzilla is the way he is. Now, do you think Godzilla may be turning against humanity? And this would kind of fall in line with King of Monsters, because of global warming and how humanity is kind of destroying the earth and making things unbearable and killing habitats and things like that. Do you think that Godzilla is seeing that and saying, you know what, I was here to protect the earth, and now humanity has become the enemy of the earth? Is that can you see that happening? I mean, it's a quick turnaround to do it in a 2-hour movie. I would have liked to have seen, them dropping little hints of this throughout the movies. But do you think that's a way to make Godzilla bad in this movie?
It's definitely possible. I won't even lie, because that is his shtick this time around. And then I mean, you also consider that they accidentally dropped a pseudo oxygen destroyer on him in
That's
the
true.
past.
That is true.
So maybe he's like, well, wow, okay, so these guys can actually make something that damages me pretty well. Maybe they do gotta go.
Well, I guess we have to wait until the end of March to see. So
Wait,
huh? Hold on.
No, I didn't just see that.
What did you not just see?
No, that had to be just the.
Don't make
cover.
me shut my
the video.
ears.
That had to be. No, they wouldn't release that. This is obviously.
One thing I will say that I've heard, there was a leaked image of Mechagodzilla.
Yes, that's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Be quiet. I don't want to see it ever.
No, I need to see this because.
All right.
Yeah, it's bait. He's bait. That's for sure. He's
All
bait.
right. Well, we'll find out
Yeah.
in
look.
like
Oh,
3 or
no.
4 weeks.
I know too much. Look, he's chained. He's chained.
not looking.
He's chained.
He's always been.
He's
chained.
always been chained. So
all the
what?
trailers he's been
bait.
chained.
He's bait.
Well, they're also protecting themselves, because if you're transporting
Yeah.
like a 400-foot tall ape, you want to make sure that he's
Look,
under
look.
control.
He's bait because
He's
look.
not going to be sitting at the dinner
Look,
table
look,
with
look.
you
I know, but
unless
look,
you're dinner. So
check this out. Ready? Wait, hold on. Look. He has a chain around him. He's totally bait.
he's
Dude,
chained
he's
because
they're
chained every
bringing
which
him.
Chain on his
way.
neck, and he's facing the ocean.
Yes,
And they know that Godzilla's there.
No, they.
'cause he's because Godzilla's been attacking.
I know
Do you
that,
really
but-
want him to
He
get up and fight
destroyed-
Godzilla while they're on the carrier? They
I know
have to
that,
secure
but
him.
that just he's Bates.
No, that doesn't mean that. You're reading into it too much
He may
now.
be forced indentured or whatever it's called, right?
He's
Indentured servitude.
Yeah, there you go. What did I say?
Indervit. I don't
Whatever.
know.
It's getting late.
Yes.
He is bait.
Anyway, okay, so Eli thinks he's bait.
Oh,
Eli
no.
thinks he's bait. He's gonna fall down that rabbit
Oh,
hole
no.
right now.
Look at this. Look at this.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want
Ah.
to see it.
There's too much.
Yes, shut that phone off now.
There's too much.
All right. In the spirit of trying not to get spoiled any further than we have, thanks to Eli throwing us every image
What?
on YouTube that there is.
We should probably put a spoiler warning for this episode.
I
just
think
in
we
case.
have the spoiler warning up. But in case we don't, at the 59-minute mark, we're saying spoiler alert.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. So we're gonna call this episode a wrap, and we're not gonna look at YouTube anymore, Eli.
I might.
We're not gonna look at
guys can't-
Godzilla stuff
You guys
anymore.
cannot stop me.
You
All right, then
cannot.
you
Yeah, we
be
can't
quiet
stop
about
you,
it.
but we can't stop
Be
you from
quiet about
talking
it.
about it either.
No, you guys can because I'm only talking about it because I'm on a podcast and I have to share my info.
We'll see.
The unperks.
Everybody, we'll let you know what happens next week
Mm.
on this podcast if we've been spoiled further by the boy Wonder over
No.
here.
Damn, Mechagodzilla looks good.
All right. Anyway,
Clean.
again, I would invite you to please all remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and tell all your friends that there is this awesome podcast that talks geek stuff, and we try and keep it as fan friendly. This is a podcast.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic.
Fantastic.
This is a podcast made for geeks, made
By
by geeks. So, just tell all your friends and check us out. Anyway, thank you for joining the Get Geek podcast this week. Next week, we'll come back with another exciting episode. But until then, may the force be with you. This is Walt.
And
This is AJ.
Eli, and unfortunately, Monkey loses.
So we think.
Or they might team up to beat
Is that any
Mexico.
good?
Screon.
All right, I'm ending this. Goodbye,
Yeah, okay.
everybody.
Bye.
That's actually what, if you spell it out and see it in the comics, that's what the sound is.
Really?
Screon? Yeah.
Okay. That's a little bit. Whatever.
Goodbye, everybody.